Nice to meet you, Ed. Thanks for being here. First off, you heard all the laughs, right? And every time I watch it, I just kill myself laughing. My first question is, like, what was the casting process like? Because the actors were amazing. Like when it first started, and you see, the young individual quivering, it looks super authentic, and it's hard to to force that, right? So, what did the casting process look like for all three?
Well, I mean, first off, I should say we made this for a 48-hour film competition.
Yeah.
So when I asked the actors to be involved, we didn't know what we were going to make. So we basically wrote something to them essentially for what we had available for that weekend for the competition. So it's kind of working within the parameters we'd already kind of set ourselves. All three of them are like friends who kindly volunteered their time for the weekend, or rather the day that we shot on. For those that don't know, like the 48-hour competitions, you usually kind of get some sort of brief on a Friday night. We then write something that evening, night, shoot it on the Saturday, edit it on the Sunday, and that's what we ended up with.
All the more impressive. And so 48 hours, I know there are some students here who it's almost like a hackathon before film, right? So how long did it take for you to get to that storyline out of the 48-hour timeline? Was it the first, 5 minutes, or were you kind of brainstorming? What did that look like?
Yeah, the kind of the base storyline of like we knew we wanted to the story of this guy turning up saying he was this kind of estranged child, that came pretty quickly within the first few minutes of us kind of sitting down. And then there's brainstorming, and usually you have Will, the DOP I worked with on a few films now. He's kind of usually involved in the process, so we can kind of think logistically as we're coming up with a story and kind of thinking about how we're going to shoot it at the same time because of the compressed time frame. So there's usually a small group of us kind of gathered to kind of crack the story, and they go off and write it. Funnily enough, in this case, the first draft that I did was actually too funny, because we knew how we wanted it to end and that to have that punchline. We kind of decided having quippy or funny lines all the way through kind of detracted from that side, to go away and kind of make it play it dead straight right up until that kind of point where he picks up the letter.
That's so funny. And it's just amazing hearing your creative process, right? When you're 48 hours seems very stressful, but to be able to come up with the end, and to kind of work backwards from that, hopefully that maybe added a bit of, you kind of knew what the North Star was a little bit, so you knew how to kind of work backwards from that.
Yeah.
And how did you pick the location? So was that your house or one of the other members' houses, or?
No. Again, for these competitions, it's really hard finding locations because you don't know what you're going to make. So you have to find somewhere that's kind of versatile. This was a house that was friend of a friend, which was very, they had lots of I love that kitchen. It's there's so much going on visually. And then they happened to have this workshop space in the back garden. As soon as we, when we went to look at it beforehand, as soon as we walked in there, we were like, well, we have to use this in some way. This is such an incredible space.
And I love the use of all the objects too, like even the wooden spoon and the other elements. It just adds to the whole humor. But yeah, I want to open it up to the Q&A too. Obviously, I heard a lot of people laughing. Are there any questions from the audience? Especially with the time frame, if you're ever in a similar situation, now's the time. Don't be shy. Yeah. Thank you.
What was the prompt for the actual film or for the festival?
So we were given a line of dialogue, which was the one right at the beginning, where she said she had a breakthrough at work. The prop was actually the wooden spoon, so I'm glad you picked up on that. I can't remember what the other elements were. I think we've got the genre of comedy, which is why we kind of went with the twist at the end. So yeah.
Great question. I think there was one at the front here in the black jacket. Yeah, he's just behind you, giving you the mic.
Hi. My question is, it's really clever how you managed to make sure that the character Simon found the wrong how. How did you, like the way that you showed it on screen with like the number upside down? How did you come up with that? That's a really clever way of.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we knew we wanted him to be at the wrong house, so then it was working with the location, which we'd obviously pre-picked, to then figure out how to do that. We actually ended up taking off. We were lucky because there wasn't like a visible house number on the door or anything to start with. We actually ended up removing a number from, they happened to have a number attached to one of their sheds in the back garden that we took off and then attached to the gate. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that also kind of was prompted by a limitation of the location because the door was so far away by that point, so we needed to have it close up. But then it worked out because obviously you don't see the gate at the beginning because it's open. So yeah, everything kind of like, yeah, kind of worked out through the kind of restrictions of the location in a way.
Great question. I think a quick question from Chris, right? You had a question. Yeah.
Yeah. Not really a question. I just wanted to say it was pretty deeper. It's just like how you set it up as a very very traumatic set of circumstances, and then just that one reaction. Just yeah, I think it got all of it. Great.
Yeah.
Hey, great job. All right, I think that rounds up the Q&A. Thank you so much for your questions. Final round of applause for Ed and Simon.